Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Maya if you don't know, and I hope everyone is doing well and enjoying their time at home or wherever you are. I have been enjoying moving in, settling into my new house. This is a new chair that, well, it's new to me. It's used. I got it from Craigslist, just got it today. It's my new reading chair because this video is about reading. Yeah. This is a part 2 to the video I made a month ago. It was like top 8 spiritual books or something, like the metaphysical books. And right after I filmed the video, I found so many more books that I would want to mention in that list. So I thought, why not make a part 2? Because I'm sure you all will enjoy, you know, being curious about what else I read to get me elevated and consciously evolved and ascended. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. The first book I want to discuss is called The Prophet by Kahlil Gibran. And that name always was familiar to me. I didn't know who that was, but I just knew they were a great person. Isn't that amazing? Like, your name beseeches your whole reputation. That's awesome. I really enjoyed reading their book called, like, once again, The Prophet. It's a very relatively small book. It is about, it's just like proverbs, basically, philosophical poetry about what it takes to become a holy being, which I think we all are. So I think it's a very beautifully written book. It's very religious, almost sacred. It feels like a sacred text. And now it is evening, and Alamitra the seeress said, "Blessed be this day and this place and your spirit that has spoken." And he answered, "Was it I who spoke? Was it I not also a listener?" Then he descended the steps of the temple, and all the people followed him. And he reached his ship and stood upon the deck. And facing the people again, he raised his voice and said, "People of Orphalese, the wind bids me leave you. Less hasty am I than the wind, yet I must go. We wanderers, ever seeking the lonelier way, begin no day where we have ended another day, and no sunrise finds us where sunset left us. When while the earth sleeps we travel, we are the seeds of the tenacious plant, and it is our ripeness and our fullness of heart that we are given to the wind and are scattered. Brief were my days among you, and briefer still the words I have spoken. Yet should my voice fade in your ears and my love vanish in your memory, then I will come again. And with a richer heart and lips, more yielded to the spirit, will I speak. I shall return with the tide, and though death may hide me and the greater silence unfold me, yet again will I seek your understanding, and not in vain will I seek. If aught I have said is truth, that truth shall reveal itself in a clearer voice, and in words made kin to your thoughts." So you can see it has like characters, but it's very much from the point of view of this wanderer, this seeker, this prophet, and about their journey of how they came to be a prophet. So I highly recommend that if you're into that kind of voice, that style of writing, which is very much, I wouldn't say dry, but kind of very directly philosophical, but still maintaining some type of fictional story. Then I recommend checking this one out. Also, it's not too long, so it won't take you long to read it all. The next book I have to talk about is called Women Who Run with the Wolves, and it is an anthology, so it's a bunch of short stories. So there are a bunch of fairy tale stories that are deciphered and then looked at from the context of feministic or a wild woman perspective. It's just like a bunch of stories where women are perceived as wild, and I really enjoyed reading this just as a coming of age book for any young woman who wants to embrace their natural self. I highly recommend this book. It's written by Clarissa, Pinkola, Estes, P. Doctor. So they know what they're talking about. This is a very acclaimed book. I've heard lots of people mention this, so I thought, gotta give it a go, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I would recommend this because it just helps unlock the soul of the wild, untamed woman, which is a very strong life force energy that we need on the planet. So this is a good book. I recommend it. The next book that I recommend is called You Are the Placebo, Making Your Mind Matter by Dr. Joe Dispenza. And if you have heard of Dr. Joe Dispenza, then you would know that they are a neuroscientist doctor that kind of branched into the realm of spiritual meditative after a journey that they've endured of suffering, I'd say. And basically they come out with this philosophy of how we can change the function and the structure of our brain, our physical brain, by changing your thoughts and changing your habits and perspective on the world. So yeah, this book, You Are the Placebo, is about, if you don't know what a placebo is, it's essentially like a variation in some type of situation to make one believe that something's true, and then after one believes something's true, that thing happens. So for example, in a scientific study, if there's a controlled group, some people are giving a placebo and some people are given the real drug to see if the drug actually works. And so a lot of the studies in this book are like that. And this person, Joe Dispenza, found that the people who were believing that they were receiving the drug or the placebo just had just as much effectiveness of that real thing as the people that received the real thing. So basically, long story short, is to say that we can control our reality with our thoughts. Very powerful stuff. I highly recommend you look up his work if you're interested. The next book is in this realm of ancient texts. It's called The Emerald Tablets by Thoth. So my version is still a bit different. It's called the Compendium of the Emerald Tablets, A Beginner's Guide. So it's not like the pure text, which I've also read and I highly recommend, but this is just one my mom had that I really wanted to read, so I kind of borrowed it from her. Thank you, Mom. I really have always enjoyed reading the Emerald Tablets and learning about Thoth. It's an Egyptian god who I believe the energy of this being is real, and is continuing to pervade human consciousness to kind of help uplift us. They look like this half bird, half man being, and I really believe that what they're talking about is true, like Atlantis and all this stuff. I really believe in their story. They say that they're from Atlantis and they're an immortal being that can come into material or out of material whenever necessary to communicate with specific beings at specific times to help them. So, and I heard that the word thought comes from the word Thoth, which is very interesting because, yeah, where do your thoughts come from? What if they're coming from a channeled higher being? That'd be pretty cool. I highly recommend the Emerald Tablets by Thoth. If you are into the Egyptian ancient information world, yes, you must read that. Continuing on that bandwagon, I have Awakening Osiris, the Egyptian Book of the Dead. So that kind of goes along with this book too, because it is the Tibetan Book of the Dead. I highly recommend. I highly recommend, sorry, not finishing my thought. I highly recommend you read these books if you're curious about the afterlife. What is it like to die? Why do we die? I think it's very cool that these ancient civilizations thought about asked these questions enough to come up with their own manuscripts of how to die properly. It's very interesting. So I believe, I don't know which one, I believe the Egyptian one came first. That's a good question, which one of these were written first? But the Awakening Osiris ones is much more poetic, less descriptive, less direct of a manuscript of death than the Tibetan Book of the Dead is. The Tibetan Book of the Dead is quite cut dry, like this is how X equals Y and this is leads to this. Very interesting. They talk about the different places like Bardo, which is like the in-between stage of life and death, how souls get stuck in certain stages. And the Egyptian Book of Dead is more of like the story of how to get yourself unstuck if you find yourself very afraid when you're dying and stuff. Both of them are very, very wise, and I got a lot out of both of them. I highly recommend reading these manuscripts to know more about death, which will lead you to know more about life, because it's all one. The next book is by Carl Jung, and it's called Man and His Symbols. It's an introductory book to their psychological work. They were a brilliant psychologist that talked a lot about the subconscious mind and its effect on us as energetic beings, and how dreams are very important. This is basically Man and His Symbols, meaning the archetypes that happen in human consciousness and what they mean. So when you're dreaming and you have a symbol of, say, your teeth falling out or something good like you flying, that means something in your subconscious mind. And once we can manipulate the dream or the symbols, you can manipulate the subconscious. So that's very powerful stuff. Highly recommend that. The reading is quite dense, quite like scientific and pretty direct and masculine, but I got a lot out of it, and I learned more about psychology, which I've always been interested in. Learning how people tick and how to help people more is really fascinating to me. Okay, so I speed through this list pretty quickly. I went through 7 books. So this is the last book that I have to mention. It's called The Brotherhood of Angels Men. This is a very, very beautiful book. This is like, yes, definitely maybe top 4, top 3, because it's just so beautiful. So basically it's a person called Geoffrey Hodgson met an angel called Bathilda, and this angel told them all about the angelic realm and how the angelic realm is very much connected to the human realm, and how the angels in the different categories of the angelic realm, because there are different types of angels. There's angels of beauty, angels of love, angels of music, etc., etc., and how all these angels work with mankind to deliver peace and a strong bond with nature, because everything is all one. I thought this book was very, very beautiful. It's really short, so you can get through it pretty quickly. And yeah, I'll try to read a little bit. This is chapter 11, called Unity. I just flipped towards it, so I'm just gonna go for it. As there is a land of joy, so also there is a world where diversity is not, where there is unity alone. It is higher than the land of joy, for joy is the land of universal ideas, and unity is behind ideas. You cannot speak with any truth about this land, for words are diversities. Therefore, may that land be named by one word alone. It is the land of unity. Not only is there no need for other words, there are no other words, for the one word unity expresses the whole. To analyze it, to lose it. To synthesize it, to lose it. Unity cannot be analyzed or synthesized. It is one. Yes, I love it. And yeah, and in this book they talk about how the men are future angels, so that's why the angelic realm helps man so much, because we are one and we are all the same. So how well we do, how well they do, how poorly we do, how poorly they do, and so on and so forth. So I just love that. Every time I read this book, I really feel like the angelic realm is opening its arms to me and embracing me in love and light. Hi everyone, I'm popping back in. This is a little bit after I filmed originally earlier. Popping back in because I forgot one book and I thought, nope, I can't do that again. Okay, to my people, I can't deprive them of this valuable information, so I'm gonna put it in anyway. And yeah, the book that I forgot and just hop it right on in is called The Book of Instruction in the Elements of the Art of Astrology by Al-Biruni. And yeah, so I'll read that again. That's a mouthful title. The Book of Instruction in the Elements of the Art of Astrology. So it's an astrology book, and it's from this man called Al-Biruni, and he's an Arab person, philosopher, astrologer. And this book, again, it might be thin, but it's jam-packed with information. Lots of charts and lots of like categorizing of the astrological signs and planets into like different things like religion, location on Earth, like the different ties to the different locations on Earth that each zodiac sign has, the different elements. It's very, very much in depth. So let's see, in relation to food and drugs, household requirements, states of being, powers, Saturn, drugs, cold and dry in the 4th degree, especially those which are narcotic and poisonous, dwelling, sleep, retative power, Jupiter, those which are moderately hot and moist and are profitable and agreeable, fruits, clothing, vital, growing, nutritive faculties in the air and the heart, Mars, whatever is not poisonous but pungent and warm in the 4th degree, drugs, business, passion, Sun, whatever is warm beyond the 4th degree and is salutary and in general use, foods, eating and drinking, useful, vigor, Venus, moderately cold and moist foods, useful and pleasant to the taste, savory herbs, coition and sensuality, Mercury, foods which are drier than cold and are agreeable but rarely useful, grains, speaking, faculty of reflection, Moon, foods which are equally cold and moist, sometimes useful, sometimes detrimental, and are not in constant use, beverages, drinking water, natural power. That's just a little excerpt. There are pages and pages of lists like that, different types of charts, like I said, the elements, there you go. And yeah, I heard this book be described as the greatest astrology book ever written. So if you're into astrology, I highly recommend checking this out. It's very just a lot of like dense, packed with sacred findings about the stars. Hope you enjoy that one. Thank you so much for watching this quick little video. I had fun making it and talking to you more about the books that I enjoy. I would love to know books that you enjoy, because I love reading, especially right now. So much downtime, so much time to think and reflect. So it'd be nice to keep growing and keep learning and developing. Reading is so fun. It's one of my favorite pastimes for sure, next to eating and dancing and laughing and making art. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Love you so much. Bye.